do a thing now. My name is Zach, and this is David, and we are going to be starting something new here on YouTube called Spin Move iRacing Network. And on this platform, David and I, we're going to be talking a lot about different aspects of iRacing, especially those things that we're closely involved with. We hope eventually that we get into iRacing broadcasting and we kind of figure out our way that way. There's a few other projects that we're working on that we want to encourage you to go check out on our website. Just type in Spin Move iRacing Network on Google and you should be able to find us there. Say hi to the internet, David.
Hey, everybody. Great to be alongside you, Zach, and definitely looking forward to all the great things we have planned. So stay tuned, everyone, and we hope to see you on our website and, of course, our YouTube channel here.
Yeah, so there's a few things actually that we're going to be doing on our YouTube channel. This is just one of those things, the featured league race preview show. And what this segment is for now is it's going to focus on the one league that David and I race in for iRacing, and hopefully in the future, as we get more involved with broadcasting, this could kind of be kind of like a podcast or kind of like a midweek recap video of what's to come in some of the leagues that we might be able to cover in the broadcasting circuit. So for now, we are covering a league that is near and dear to us. And David, why don't you tell the folks who we're covering, why we're covering them, and what they're up to?
So for this season, we are covering the Ghost Racing Cup Series. Very near and dear to us. When we first started out with iRacing, one of the admins from our first league, Chris Hupka, really caught Zach and I, and great friendship developed there. So when he started this league on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock, it was a no-brainer for both of us to say that we wanted to be a part of it and to drive alongside him. So we're looking forward to the inaugural season here with the Ghost Racing Cup Series, and I think we can expect a lot more to come, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to catch those broadcasts at 9 o'clock on SRM, Sim Racing Media. So find them on Facebook. Find Ghost Cup Series on Facebook as well. And then that'll take you to the events that you need to get attached to on YouTube. I'm really excited to be covering this series with you and talk a little bit about maybe our insight of what it means to be friends out here in iRacing and kind of maneuver through a pretty unique season, as we are going to be sharing with folks what it's like to be part of a league that is just forming for the first time. Some of these folks we've raced together for quite a while. Some we have no idea what they're like. So maybe for some of you who are fairly new to iRacing, this might be a bit of eye-opening experience for you when you go looking for a league and you're trying to find, okay, what do I call home? What am I looking for in a league that's positive for us? We are on this show going to be previewing the next race in the schedule for the league that we're covering, and we also have a post-race show, a post-race recap show that we're going to do for Ghost, and that's a completely different segment covering obviously the race that we are just getting over, but we are, as many leagues start up here in 2022, headed to Daytona. But David, the really interesting thing about the Ghost series that you and I are in, they race NASCAR vehicles, but not next-gen vehicles. They decided, you know what, we're going to take a moment to pause, and we are going to race what is now, in terms of real life, the old gen, the Generation 6 cars. And can you kind of just walk us through, like, why in the world would people do something like that, especially when there's this bright, shiny new next gen car for iRacing for people to go and race?
It really comes down to the things that we're still seeing coming out of NASCAR themselves. And with the next gen car, we're still kind of finalizing those rule layouts, and especially now with horsepower changes and the aerodynamics packages, which are going to be run at all these tracks. NASCAR's still kind of trying to figure that out. They appear to be more finalized now, but as NASCAR figures those things out, iRacing has to catch up. Um, for now, iRacing hasn't quite caught up to that next gen car, and as a league, the admin decided that, hey, let's take a step back and wait for iRacing to catch up so these cars can be as realistic as possible for our drivers and we can put on the best performance for our viewers.
Yeah, and I think as a iRacer, it's really important, right, to identify, okay, what do I want out of a racing experience? Do I want the new car? Do I want consistency? There's a balance there, right? We got to see the introduction of IndyCar or the Formula One car, one of those two, over to iRacing as of late. Neither of us frequent those cars, but it was a big deal, and the the general consensus was, well, it's not quite done. It's not quite finished, and some people jumped right on it because it's new and shiny, and that's the thing. Well, in the NASCAR world of iRacing, same thing. Next gen car, bright new. It's exciting. It sounds wonderful. It's a whole new experience, but it's not quite done. It's not quite polished to where it should be because one, NASCAR doesn't really know what they're racing quite yet, and two, iRacing hasn't gotten their hands on it. So here we are. We're going to be covering the Ghost Cup Series, and like we talked about, it is going to be 9 o'clock on Wednesdays, and you and I have a very unique perspective of this series because we're going to be racing in it, and like we shared in the beginning of the show, that's not going to be our perspective, hopefully, for most of these shows. But this one, it is. And so for us looking forward, the Ghost 250 at Daytona is tomorrow, which will be today by the time this video uploads. Long race, Daytona. Everybody's a little antsy. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to as a driver? I know that we were talking a matter of a week ago, and you weren't going to race this race, and now you are. So, what's going through your mind in terms of prep? What are some things that you need to have on your radar as we prepare for Daytona?
Right. So there was some conflicts with my schedule. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make the race Wednesday night here, but looking forward, some of the things that I like to do for any track, not even just Daytona or super speedways, is just go out and turn some laps. Get behind the wheel, make sure that I'm feeling comfortable, make sure I have my settings all dialed into where I want them, and kind of understand some of those more strategic things that iRacing can be known for. So with the Ghost Racing Cup Series, as you know, we run 75% fuel. So you can't just go out there and run an official race that has a full fuel tank and expect the same results. You need to plan ahead and understand, how do my tires look at the end of the run, or how many laps can I run on fuel, and potentially, especially a track like Daytona, how many laps can I save?
Yeah, and the cool thing about this particular series, which is new for you and I when it comes to league play, is that there's stages, and so that's a whole nother thing, right? Where now you're racing within the race, trying to figure out, okay, what am I racing for today? Is it stage points, or am I setting myself up sacrificing those points to play the long game. And I think as a driver who especially is interested in NASCAR, you need to look at those leagues carefully and go, okay, old school racing of NASCAR from point to point is a lot different than stage racing, and that could very well dictate what league you wind up picking. So, we really excited to pursue this kind of track where anything goes, and people can elect to be really, really aggressive, or folks can elect to be a bit more conservative and lay towards the back. What are you expecting? We've had opportunities to race with this group before. Preview what you think the level of intensity is going to be like with this group going to Daytona.
I didn't get to race this last Wednesday here, but watching the duels, I think there is something to be said of, uh, the drivers that we have in this league. And you watched one duel, and everybody seemed to just single file out and be pretty happy with where they were. And then you got down to the next duel, and man, it was some tight, great racing, people fighting over spots. And I think it really comes down to, like you said, how do these drivers handle aggressiveness? Now, the duels were just a short preview. You guys ran 30 laps, I believe. So I find that as kind of a look in towards the end of the 250 race here. What I'm looking forward to is the strategies and understanding how people are going to handle these stages week to week. As you know, I am not the driver to be up there in the top 10 come the end of the race. But with stages, there's a whole new possibility of me earning these points and having an opportunity to be up there kind of early in the race when all the other drivers are going in for a pit stop. I might elect to stay out just to pick up those extra, you know, possibly all the way up to 10 points leading a lap. So definitely some things to look forward to with Daytona, and I'm interested to see how every other driver's strategy plays in.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about teamwork there for just a brief moment, you and I, we're a two-car team. This is it. In this league, there are some teams they have six drivers, and that's not a knock against them. We elected to be a two-car team. We're very comfortable being a two-car team, but that's really going to play a big factor because if you have six guys that go, you know what, we're taking points. Well, there's only four spots left, and so for folks like you and me, it's going to be so interesting at these plate tracks. Who elects to race the race backwards and race for the win, and then who races the race forward and goes, you know what, I'm probably going to get caught up in the big one at the end, so I'm going to take my points and run. And um, I'm really looking forward to stage racing and kind of the new dynamic that brings. And you brought up a great point where we're going to talk about winners here in a little while, but you and I are going to pick people that are going to be on our radar as drivers, and hopefully the viewer as well, to just make a mental note and go, okay, these are the guys that are really good here. You and I aren't going to pick ourselves. That's just we're not those drivers. We are not up front competing for wins. There's so many good drivers in this league, and we've learned a lot from them already. We anticipate that we are going to learn more from them moving forward. But stage racing helps folks that I'm not going to I'm not going to contend for the win. A fourth place at the end of stage one, that's a big points day, and being able to kind of stack those things, that could be a game changer for some folks that might not be able to be up front towards the end.
For sure. And, that's the entire excitement for me. As you mentioned, I never expect to be anywhere within the top 10 come the end of a race. So for me, the goal is consistent finishes. And, what do I mean by that? I like to put a position on myself as I want to be a top 15 driver. And week in, week out, if I am getting top 15s, I am, meeting what I expect to be, being competitive and consistently getting there will put you in place for those wins. So anytime I'm up in the top 10, whether it be a stage finish or, come the end of the night, that is an absolute win for a team like us, especially only being a two-car team.
Yeah, and so looking forward to Daytona. There are things that the casual race fan looks for, right? Big wrecks, sometimes long green flag runs that turn into a train around this racetrack. Um, Being able to maneuver pit cycles well, restarts, all of these things that play such a big role into plate tracks. In your opinion, as a driver, what is the one thing that the viewers should be looking for when these iRacing vehicles take the track to Daytona? What's the one thing that could be a game changer?
So for Daytona and honestly, Talladega and possibly with this new Atlanta repave, the thing that I'm going to be watching out for as a driver, and I think a lot of people watch as viewers, is seeing how these cars that may or may not be teammates are working together, using that draft and developing I don't want to call it a team strategy, but for lack of a better word, that team and kind of group strategy amongst themselves, even though they might not actually be on a race team together, and really working for their benefit to be in position come the end of the race. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah, and really with this particular group, there are some drivers that we've raced with for a while, and so we know that these are drivers that we can trust. And then there are some that are just names on a screen we've never raced with before, and you kind of have to get into a mindset at some point in Daytona as the laps wind down. You're gonna you're gonna wind up dancing who's next to you, and teammates, manufacturers, they don't matter anymore. And uh, so these teams that have 5, 6 car members, they very well might not be together by the end of this thing. It may boil down to, okay, who did you play nice with in the duel? Who did you race well with in the recruitment races? That's why those things are so important. Being able to put in that time early and to say, okay, if the plan falls and I don't have my teammates in my corner, who can I rely on to get to the front at the end? Good stuff.
And
Oh,
flip side of that, there are going to be those drivers you see that they might be side by side with somebody, but I expect to see some cars dropping off and running solo if they do not have somebody that they have worked with before or somebody that they just don't trust.
yeah.
So definitely something to keep an eye on there.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Where um, this league, as many leagues on iRacing now, it seems, are emphasizing so much. Hey, get to these recruitment races, get to these races before the season starts, so you can build a rapport with the people around you. And if you don't do that, especially in NASCAR leagues, oftentimes the first track is Daytona. And so it's gonna hurt you the most right away. Nobody's gonna want to work with you. You might as well be racing with that big giant yellow rookie stripe on the back of your car. Nobody's gonna want to draft with you. So moving forward, just kind of wrapping things up. This whole show is going to take on, I'm sure, a few different forms as we get used to this. Right now, I'm in my sim rig, and like the back of this isn't painted, so visually this is going to look different. We might upgrade equipment at some point, so maybe my camera looks different in a short little while. There's this show's just going to ebb and flow, and but traditionally, by the time we're done together, I would like to make sure that we name who's on our radar going into these things, whether it be we're broadcasting these events or we've elected to cover these events just as fans, or in the case of Ghost, it's as racers, at telling folks that might be watching, hey, these are the guys that you need to look out for in this case at the Ghost 250 at Daytona. So, David, you didn't get to race the duels. Is a little bit different than most of the people there, but in some ways you got the benefit of watching. So, who are maybe a couple guys that maybe the viewers should look out for? We're going to do this at every track. To be a strong contender here at the first race of this whole league.
Daytona really, as everybody alludes to when they talk about it, comes down to a lot of luck, as people say. What I like to look for is people that kind of make that luck. And what I mean by that is drivers who are consistent, who are quick at short tracks, quick at road courses, just really know what they're doing behind the wheel. So for me, it's a no-brainer to pick out names from our league like DJ Daniel, TJ Roberts. I've heard good things about Dan Miglin. We haven't raced with him before, but in the recruitment races, we saw him be very, very quick. So names like that is who I'm looking for to be at the front of this thing, and hopefully throughout the season, I'm going to learn some things from these drivers. So definitely looking forward to everything that they do and getting a preview before, during, and after this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you really hit the nail on the head. We don't have a whole lot of source material to really draw from, especially as drivers as folks from that have been in the recruitment races. Right, only a handful of these things that we've been able to do with a select handful of people. The crazy thing about Daytona is that it lends itself to surprise winners anyway. So it could come from somebody we've never raced with before, and they come out of the woodwork. Really, as we move through this season, what I'm excited about as we cover Ghost is, okay, these are the strong guys that we know are going to be up front week in and week out. I think we kind of have a feeling about who those guys are going to be. But as the season progresses, then we're going to start talking about dark horses, and we're going to be talking about, okay, like who's finally going to cross that threshold and maybe get that first win and be able to maybe win a stage. And those are the kinds of stories I'm really excited to cover with you here on this show.
For sure. And, figuring out what everybody's track specialty, so to speak, is, and understanding where these drivers feel most comfortable and seeing that develop over the course of this season. I'm really excited. I know that you're super excited, and definitely looking forward to, our first opening week here Wednesday night at 9.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just a friendly reminder, if you guys, I'm sure many of you are going to find this video via your friends who raced this series. So, go follow Ghost iRacing Cup Series on Facebook. You'll be able to find the logos that appear on the screen very quickly with that search. You'll be able to look up Ghost's new website here very shortly. We'll be probably posting some updates about that over the next few weeks. And in the near future, you'll have a multitude of outlets to get connected with our featured league, and that we're going to cover hopefully for the rest of the season, and give our insight and hopefully a nice little preview for you here here on YouTube. So wrapping it up here for my friend David, my name is Zach, and we will catch you on the flip side of this thing when we recap the Ghost 250 at Daytona. See you later.